Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Previously, we began the trial phase of the second case in the second game, and we went through the motions with a few witnesses, Sosuke himself and Gregson, and now none other than the victim himself has taken the stand, which honestly is probably a first for this franchise. It's astounding, and I'm very glad that he has, because Shamspear is already an excellent character and I like him quite a lot. But before we begin, I have a few things to say. So in between recording sessions, a thought struck me quite violently. It occurred to me that, well, you know, Shamspear, Shakespeare. What is one of Shakespeare's most famous plays? And indeed, which play has been referenced to the most in this series so far? Romeo and Juliet. Well, it occurred to me, spoilers for a centuries-old play, the infamous climax of Romeo and Juliet is that a distraught Romeo rushes to Juliet's side only to find her unconscious, unmoving, seemingly dead to the world, and in despair, Romeo drinks poison to take his own life, because he doesn't want to live on without his sweet Juliet. But then, well, it turns out Juliet was really just unconscious. She wakes up and sees a dead Romeo, tragedy, tragedy, and it occurred to me, is that not exactly what happened to me? I was so eager to meet more of this character, to meet him again, to see him, and I despaired when he was slumped over that table. I thought for sure he was dead. He fooled me. And yet, then he woke up. This beautiful foppish dandy. He's my Juliet, and I his Romeo. And one more thing to say. A few episodes ago, when I was at my most distraught over Shamspear's seeming death, I was like, ugh, you viewers, you were having a giggle at my expense when I was talking about how cool he was and how I couldn't wait to see him again, but now he's dead. Well, I bet you were having another giggle when I was lamenting that, and I didn't know that he would wake up soon. And my point is, this game is doing things to me, and I'm not sure I like it. Anyway, we have a long road ahead of us, so let's get going. The snow lay about. My neighbor did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea.
Hold it!
To be clear, by neighbor you are referring to the defendant, Mr. Natsume. Oh, indeed, sire. Perchance thou wouldst that I call him the man from upstairs? And at what time did the mustachioed Nipponese visit you in your room? Our meeting was promised for the hour of 9, and lo, did he come to tender a gift of fragrant tea. Details which are in accordance with the defendant's own testimony, yes. And we were broiled in such a literary debate as history hath not seen before. By which I presume he means their discussion about who was the stronger, Romeo or Juliet. I, Shamspear, did play the part of young Romeo, whilst my neighbor played the fair Juliet. Each of us dressed as would our characters be, to bring weight upon our merry experiment. I dare not imagine the scene. Frailty, thy name is woman. Canst thou imagine how dismayed I was? Yes, I had heard of the Eastern art of jujitsu, but ne'er did I dream 'twould be a skill practiced by the comely maiden. Juliet beat Romeo up? This is not helping our case. I believe the court has heard enough about your earth-shattering literary debate. Perhaps you could reiterate your statement about the tea that the accused brought to your room. My liege, I am thy servant. Gladly I would do thy bidding. But marry, bitter was his drink, and when he left I did fall prostrate on my table.
Hold it!
Let me stop you there. Mr. Natsume left your room at 11 o'clock, but it wasn't until after 2 that the poison made you collapse. That amounts to more than 3 hours of missing time. Oh, these animations are so good. Oh, he's moving. I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing it. If the defendant had really put the poison into your tea, that 3-hour window of time is something you're going to have to explain. Gladly, 'tis an easy task. What? I did drink of the tea not while my guest did tarry, but after he took leave of me. Faith, 'twas stone cold, but at 1 hour past midnight, verily were my lips parched.
Objection!
That doesn't sound normal. Nay, 'tis quite ordinary, sire, after all. Thou wouldst recall our fiery debate. Amid such argument, there'd be no time for fiery tea. Romeo and Juliet again, and who was stronger? Mr. Shamspeare, in summary, allow me to confirm. Did you not come here with the intention of naming your attacker? But of course, my liege. 'Twas the stooped lover of words did attempt to shuffle me off this mortal coil. Y'all know what that means. 'Twas the tea alone did pass my lips that late hour, not else.
Hold it!
So, you didn't have any kind of evening meal? Dinner? Supper? Fie on luxury, fie on gluttony. To eat thrice daily is but a waste of time. Sorry? I would that my belly were full no more oft than the sun doth rise. What is he doing? Well, most heroic eating habits, I must say. Night and day do I fill my hours with a learned study of the great bard and playwright. Hence is it that there doth not in my chamber be then the costumes of mine art. That would appear to be the case, as even a rodent was found starved to death in your room. Oh, poor mouse. Now I think of it, it's not just food that was conspicuously missing from that room, is it? I don't recall seeing a single play or script anywhere. For I have devoured them all. What? You've eaten them? Every word be within my skull. Didst thou imagine otherwise? Right, that wasn't misleading at all. Now, could you turn around, do you think? Which brings us to the conclusion that the only way the poison could have passed the victim's lips is in the tea. I was outside this bloke's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on his room.
Hold it!
But the windows of that house have all been filled in. A historical artifact of the now defunct window tax. Yeah, you're right there. All bricked up horribly. But as it happens, there's a little part of the brickwork at the bottom corner that's been opened up. I was looking in through that gap. Yes, there were a few bricks loose, weren't there? And for some strange reason, a couple of bars of soap lined up on the ledge outside as well. I don't like going around poking my chin in other people's business, especially on freezing cold nights. Yeah, I guess his chin does protrude more than his nose. But them's my orders, so that's what I'll keep doing, as long as there's breath in my body. What's with all the theatricals today? Out of interest, Mr. Meterman, after the accused had left and returned to his own lodgings, did you see the victim leave the room at all? No, he never left. He was in that room the whole time as far as I'm concerned. And we can therefore discount the possibility of suicide. How can you be sure of that? The police carried out a thorough investigation of the scene and found no receptacle for the poison. And since we know the victim didn't leave his room and hence didn't dispose of the poison's container himself, it's clear that this was no attempted suicide. Only the culprit could have removed the receptacle. Oh, yes. Lucidly explained, Counsel. Thank you. It really was. You can't argue with that logic. No one else visited his room but that short little round-backed Eastern fella. Hold it! You say a short little round-backed Eastern fella, so you can't be sure it was the defendant then. Objection! How many other short little round-backed Nipponese with a mustache do you think there are in London? Well, of course, it's only a narrow gap and it was quite dark, so I didn't notice the mustache. But he showed up at around 9, so I'm pretty sure of myself. And when the person you saw arrived, did he and Mr. Shamspear drink tea together? Nah, sorry, I couldn't say. Why not? Because I couldn't see into the room all that well, could I? But what I did see was the silhouette of that little round-backed fella wearing a pretty dress. Then the pair of them started some kind of wrestling match. I tell you, I didn't know what to make of it. Okay. I made the active choice not to make a joke, but come on! I suppose that was the Romeo and Juliet championship battle getting underway. You know what, Susato? Bless your innocence. Let's leave it at that. Mr. Meterman, allow me to confirm one final time. Apart from the accused, can you state with certainty that no one else visited the victim on the night in question? No question. Gasman's honor. Hold it? Huh? Please stop flashing white. It's late at night. My eyes are it's dark in here. Ugh. My lord! Goodness me. Yes, Mr. Foreman? I've kept my mouth shut and listened up to now, but this has gone on long enough. Are you all with me? Yes! Uh-oh. Are we to understand that you ladies and gentlemen of the jury are in agreement with one another? That you've reached a unanimous decision? Too right we have. Are you all with me? Yes! Wait, no, the defense is in the middle of a cross-examination. To be honest, I was holding out a bit of hope for you, young man. Especially after you identified those few hours that followed the accused leaving the victim's room. Yes, the 3 missing hours, as you put it. But in the end, what difference do they make? None, as far as I can see. And since that's now apparent, there's really no reason to delay our decision any longer. Like I was saying before, if you don't take 5 bob home with me tonight, the missus will blow her top. What's that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said. Very well. Let the court be apprised of your decisions. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty!
Uh-oh.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Well, that didn't take too long. All of you? Well, it would appear that the jury is indeed unanimous. So, this time at least it seems justice will be done. All's well that ends well, as they say. Van Zieks, come on, dude. This should be the third time you're seeing this happen. You know what bullshit Ryunosuke is gonna pull here. This calls for a toast, I feel. To the guilty being punished. Ooh-ah! Get up, Mr. Naruhodo, please. The trial isn't over yet. What do you mean, Mr. Sato? What about the information I found in this encyclopedia of British law I have? That obscure right that belongs to the defense in these situations, remember? Ryunosuke, it's been 2 days since you were last in this trial. And you went through this so many times then. Okay, look, I understand they're re-tutorializing this for those players who made this their first game instead of the previous Great Ace Attorney, but come on. A summation examination. Yes, that's right. We don't have a jury in Japanese courts, of course. But here in a British court of law, if we can reverse the decisions of a majority of the jurors, we can force the trial to continue. This trial can't end now. What did he just... Oh no. Oh, that animation does not make sense when he's in that costume. I choose to believe it is force of habit. Whatever it takes, I just can't let that happen. The defense moves to invoke its right to a summation examination, my lord. Why am I not surprised at my learned Nipponese friend's inability to admit defeat? You choose to cling desperately to some archaic rule you barely comprehend instead of accepting the truth. Certainly no other defense counselor in recent times has exercised the right to a summation examination. Because they all know that once the jury's mind is set, it cannot be altered. Nevertheless, the right remains and must be upheld. The defense counsel's request is granted. This court will proceed with the summation examination as outlined in the Encyclopedia of British Law. Thank you, my lord. Are you and your fellows prepared, Mr. Foreman? Believe me, my lord, we know all about this young lad's tenacity. And we're ready for it. Very well. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby call upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime for which he stands accused. Neat, I do so enjoy this part. The victim may not be well off, but he's a noble man and straight up. There's no reason to doubt the man. Well, I do declare the good gentleman has no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid. Just look at the accused by comparison. He's Japanese, stoops all the while, and has a mustache, very fishy. Wow, as casual as breathing. There's no evidence to suggest the gangling actor is a fraudsman. For now, at least.
Ugh, really don't care, just need this trial to end quickly.
3 hours of missing time is nothing when you reach my age, you know. Nothing at all. I knew it. Every single one of them seems completely convinced. And I think the most important thing I'll have to do here is attack Shamspeare's character. It would seem that all the jurors have come to the conclusion that Mr. Shamspeare is a fine, upstanding, and honest citizen. If you ask me, they've all been bewitched by his strange theatrical movements. And sadly, nothing Mr. Natsume has said appears to have registered at all. Oh, no, Susato, sorry. Well, here goes. Let's not forget. I've pleaded with the jury on Sosuke-san's behalf before, and it worked. So you never know. Before we begin, it might be an idea for me to remind you exactly how a summation examination works, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh. Well, you're still very new to British law, after all. That's true, I suppose. And Sosuke-san's fate is entirely in my hands now, too. There's always a chance I might have forgotten some crucial detail. Perhaps I should hear Susato-san out. I wonder, should I let her talk me through it again or not bother? No need. Thank you, game. Thank you for the kind offer, Miss Susato, but I've been through plenty of these summation examinations already now. I think it's important that we don't delay the start any longer than necessary. Of course, I understand, and I'm quite sure you're right. If you're confused by anything at any point, you can turn to me for advice whenever you like. I'll be here for you. The key to this is really listening carefully to each juror's statement. Finding two that are contradictory and pitting the corresponding jurors against each other.
Without further ado, please, counsel, proceed with the summation examination.
Yes, my lord. Jury examination. Is that what that said? I couldn't read the old-timey font, sorry. The victim may not be well off, but he's a noble man and straight up. There is no reason to doubt the man.
Hold it!
Well, there are plenty of people in London who seem noble but poor. Couldn't some of them also be liars? I've no doubt about it, like that shaky client of yours, for example. Absolutely not. Mr. Natsume is no liar. Look, the point is, the only thing that passed the victim's lips that night was the Japanese man's tea. When you take the gas man's testimony into account as well, the truth couldn't be any clearer. Well, that's alarmingly logical. But let me be frank here. I'm a gentleman with a gentleman's values. If it turns out that the old Shakespearean chum is a rotten liar after all, I'd gladly change my decision about the defendant. And I'm sure my fellow gentlemen on the jury would do the same, isn't that right? Well, yes, perhaps, though I don't see it happening. What's that? Utterly gent on the end here, you know. You'll have to speak up.
Look, I really don't care about all this nonsense. Just need this trial to be over.
How many gentlemen do we actually have on the jury, then? All right, sir. I may hold you to that. Don't forget what you said. All right, if you can show me what that the victim's a liar, I'll reconsider my position. Sure, press it again.
Hold it!
Will you stand by that statement? What do you take me for? I'm a gentleman, sir. A man of my word. So let me be perfectly clear about this. If it turns out that the old Shakespearean chum is a rotten liar after... Okay, we saw this. That is fair.
Well, I do declare the good gentleman has no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid.
Hold it!
Are you saying you believe the man to be trustworthy because he's rather splendid?
No, that's not what I said. The point is, the man is the victim here. What reason would he have to lie? And yes, he is rather splendid.
So you say yet again.
Meanwhile, the man who stands accused behaves so suspiciously, it's exhausting to look at him. I'm afraid he's not splendid at all.
Splendid logic there, madame. Thank you so much. Just look at the accused by comparison. He's Japanese, stoops all the while, has a mustache. Very fishy.
Hold it!
No. Not one of those things is a reason to find the man guilty. But he is fishy. There's no point dancing around the fact. He's Japanese, he has a mustache, and he stoops. You see, you arrive at the conclusion in just 3 steps. 3 steps, like a waltz, in fact. Also, I like to make it extremely clear, in case it's not obvious. Just because I'm reading these incredibly racist statements out loud does not mean I condone them or agree with them in any way. Racism bad. Just so we're clear. You know, the more I think about it, the more this trial seems like a dance. You seem to be several steps ahead of yourself, though, and you're on the wrong foot. No, there's nothing but circumstantial evidence here. There is no actual proof of the defendant's guilt. But the victim's version of events is backed up by what the big-chinned man next to him says, isn't it? 1, he saw the Japanese man there. 2, he saw no one else. And 3, he saw the Japanese man there. Oh, that's another 3 steps. All this really does seem more and more like a waltz, doesn't it? Right. And the prosecution will waltz its way to victory if I let you speak much more.
There's no evidence to suggest the gangling actor is a fraudsman. For now, at least.
Hold it!
A fraudsman? What do you mean by that, madame?
It really is a most tiresome problem for the company, most irritating. We can be absolutely certain that a customer is stealing from us, but without hard evidence. We can't even threaten to take action for fear of being sued.
I'm sorry, you've lost me a little there. Who are you?
I'm the wife of Augustus Altamont, owner of the Altamont Gas Company.
Good gracious! Altamont Gas, you say?
Oh, there is a pun here. It's dangling in front of my face, but I don't see it yet. I can feel it, though. There's a pun here. I mean, Augustus kind of sounds like a gas to us. So something.
Gas is the future of energy in this country and around the globe, but proper handling is essential. As I'm sure our employee from the East End branch office would be the first to agree.
Absolutely, Lady Quinby. Gotta be used properly. Altamont Gas is the best in the world, of course.
So what does the S on his patch mean anyway?
Ah, I think we may have solved the mystery of the bow from earlier, Mr. Naruhodo.
Right, he bowed in deference to his employer's wife, did he? So would I be right in assuming that the reason Mr. Meterman was watching what Mr. Shamsphere was up to in his room?
I'm afraid that there's no end to the lengths the population of the East End will go to in order to steal our gas. So I really have no choice when the company identifies somebody as a possible fraudsman, but to dispatch a worker to watch the suspect day and night. We're very thorough in our investigations.
So you mean Mr. Shamsphere is?
I wouldn't come out and say it in public, but you can finish that sentence with a grubby little gas thief.
You have noticed the public gallery in here, have you?
The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. Faith, wouldst thou wound me with thy words, were I to let them penetrate the skin? But seraphs hear not insults, and only choirs of angels in song. We may not have evidence yet, but my workers won't stop buzzing around you until they find it.
Oh my god. Her color scheme. Her umbrella. She's a bee! Huh. I fail to see the connection between bees and gas? Huh.
And when they do, you'll find yourself blasted back to your angelic heights in an Altamont gas explosion.
So Mr. Shamsphere has been stealing gas. I wonder, juror number 4, if you wouldn't mind adding that information to your statement.
My pleasure. Was it the bit about ripping that thief apart you enjoyed?
A little before the part about abject violence, if it's not too much trouble.
Yes, of course.
This could be it. This could shift the balance.
The victim puts on a fine performance, but in reality, he's a common thief of my company's gas.
Hold it!
That's a bold claim. How can you be sure?
It's really very simple. Noble lady of...
Oh... Isn't gas a noble element? Hold on. Wait a second. Oh no. Okay.
Noble lady of gas, I pray thee, hold thy tongue. I beg your pardon. Hath that rank-odored air that doth our darkness illuminate any place in this assembly? Nay.
I don't think he's grammatically correct.
'Tis of sole import here that someone wouldst extinguish the light of mine own life. Verily, I ne'er recall stealing thy gas, but pray let the matter rest till anon. Why, you little...
Begging your pardon, my lady, but might I suggest you don't say any more at this stage? We need hard evidence first. If I keep secretly watching this bloke, I'll get him in the end. He'll slip up.
Do you think maybe that secret is out of the bag?
Humph. Oh, this is so frustrating.
Ugh, I really don't care, I just need this trial to end quickly.
Hold it!
You keep talking about needing to take home some money. What's that all about, sir?
Finish last, that's what it's about.
What's that?
I'm talking about the Derby at Hyde Park, aren't I? It was the Queen's Cup last week, wasn't it?
Derby?
It was a dead cert, that's the thing, I couldn't lose. So it took my wife's secret savings, But then that hopeless old mare went and did the unthinkable. Ugh, that stupid Finnish lass.
Oh dear, I think it's clear what happened, isn't it?
This is the day the missus uses her savings for a trip down the pub. So come on, let this business lie now, just give it up.
No, that's not going to happen.
3 hours of missing time is nothing when you reach my age, you know? Nothing at all.
Hold it!
What do you really mean by that, sir?
Well, I'm not one to boast, but I get up at 5 every morning, I do.
At 5? You're a really early riser then, aren't you? Oh, nightmarish. Me? I'm recording this at 1:23 a.m. That is the current time. I am a night owl. Hoot hoot.
What's that now?
I said you're an early riser.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I like to while away the hours in the evening reading books as well. But by about 2 in the morning, I'm usually too tired to go on.
He sleeps at 2 in the morning and gets up at 5? Oh my, that means he only has 3 hours of sleep each night.
What's that, dear?
Only 3 hours of sleep each night.
That's right. You see, 3 hours of missing time, like I said. It's not much, is it?
This really isn't helping.
The key to summation examinations is identifying contradictions between jurors' statements, Mr. Naruhodo.
Right, and once I've found 2 jurors whose statements can't coexist, I need to pit those jurors against each other. Then, hopefully, when they see that what they're saying doesn't make sense, they'll change their leaning.
Yes, and if you're able to change the minds of a majority of the jurors, the trial will continue. But conversely, if you're unable to do that, the judge will declare the trial over and move to adjudication.
And I can't let that happen. Man, do you ever have that thing where, like, you see, like, uncommon words, and whenever you read it or hear it, your mind flashes to, like, the situation you first learnt the word? Like, for me, adjudication is forever inseparable with, well, the adjudicator, a boss in Demon Souls. A big yellow man with a bird on his head. Whenever I hear that word, adjudicator or adjudication, I think of that boss from Demon Souls. It's weird. Anyway, somehow or other, I have to turn this trial around. Well, we have 2 jurors who changed their testimonies when we pressed them. So, Mrs. Augustus, what's your face? I forget your full name. You say that the victim is a thief. And, well, the Australian bloke, he says, if you can show the victim's a liar, I'll reconsider my position. Well, I mean, a thief isn't necessarily a liar. Hold on, do I want to double think this? What the hell, no. It's pretty obvious.
Objection!
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other.
Good gracious. To whose statements do you refer, counsel?
Juror number 1.
What are you yelling about, lad?
I presume you've heard juror number 4's statement, made by the wife of the owner of Altamont Gas.
Well, yes.
The victim, who you claim to be a noble, straight-up man, in fact turns out to be a common thief.
So the good lady says, but there's no evidence, is there? You and I both heard them say as much.
It's true, we don't have evidence as such just yet. But the claims aren't baseless, you know.
What?
You heard me. Seeing as his operation has already been compromised, I would suggest that the court hears testimony from our East End branch office employee over there.
I'll do whatever you say, my lady. Gasman's honor.
Juror number 1, you say you're a man of your word. If I could show that Mr. Shamspear was a liar, you assured me that you would reconsider your decision about the defendant's guilt. Yes, I did say that. And as a man of honor, I'll hold to it, as I'm sure the other gentlemen of the jury will.
Me?
Oh, well, yes. Now that we've found out the man's a liar, perhaps we ought to consider the matter further. Well, if I'm perfectly honest, I haven't heard half of what you've all been saying. So if this means you'll recap a few points, that would suit me down to the ground.
Oh no, I'm not having any part of this. I want this trial over and done with.
In that case, I shall change my leaning.
So, Mr. William Shamspear, if that is your real name, we of the jury demand to know exactly what kind of a man you really are. Well, that was easy. Usually I have to do a lot more work for this. That's 4 jurors. 4 for not guilty.
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, victory.
Ordar? Ordar! Well, this is quite extraordinary, I must say. As a result of the defense's summation examination, the jury's leaning has changed. Now, only 2 jurors say guilty, whilst 4 say not guilty. I therefore declare this court to be in a state of disaccord, and order the trial to continue.
You have spoiled the bouquet, Mr. Shamspear. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury now find they are unable to trust you, the victim.
But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. So God mend me, I do swear. This gasman speaketh that which concerns him most, naught but gas, naught but thin air. Aye, it burneth bright a while, but it hath no substance, and it doth reek foul.
Oi, what did you say?
Do I take it, Mr. Shamspear, that you deny the allegations of gas thievery?
Most heartily, my lord, hast thou forgot? I am as a seraph, an angel, noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart.
Ah, you flowery-mouthed, pompous beanpole, just 'cause I haven't got the evidence yet.
Mr. Shamspear, if in fact you are not noble of mind, sweet of nature, or honest of heart, if you are a liar, then your testimony should have no sway in this courtroom.
It is my considered opinion that at the present time no other possible culprit of this crime has been identified. All testimony heard by the court thus far heavily implicates the defendant. In short, it would not be unreasonable at this stage for me to rule on the case.
Oh no.
However, in light of the fact that the jury has expressed concern about the fidelity of this witness, I believe it would be inappropriate for this court not to pursue the point further.
Objection! Man, this guy's so good. I assure you, my lord, that would be a waste of the court's time. The gas and this case are unrelated. Juror number 4.
Yes?
Didn't you say before that although you had no hard evidence to prove this man has been stealing gas, you have strong grounds for suspecting him?
That's right, we do. Don't we, worker?
Absolutely, Lady Quinby. Gasman's honor.
Very well then, we will hear your testimony now. You will tell the court precisely why you believe the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare, has been stealing gas.
Yes, my lord, it'll be my pleasure. On the Altamont gas name, I swear.
If I may, my lord.
Go ahead, madame.
This worker's testimony may have a significant bearing on the good name of my husband's company. Therefore, I should like to take the stand alongside him in a supervisory role, if you wouldn't mind.
Wahoo! Oh yeah, sweet as honey.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Very well. As an exception, I shall honor your request.
Thank you, my lord.
You wait till the boss gives you an earful. Oh, it's gonna sting, you mark my words.
Oh my god. They're really ham-fisting these bee puns.
So, you will both testify before the court on the subject of the illegal consumption of the Altamont Gas Company's fuel.
Yes. Is that clear, my good man?
Clear as Altamont gas, my lady. Which is the clearest in the world.
Do you think the gas has gone to his head, Miss Usato?
I think the man is just a very dedicated employee, Mr. Naruhodo.
I'm proud to be the company's East End branch investigator and meter money collection agent. Altamont gas meters accept through-penny bits, each coin giving customers about 2 hours of gorgeous gas.
And yet the meter in Mr. Shamspeare's room didn't have a single coin in it. The meter doesn't appear to have been tampered with, though, and the collection agent has the only key.
Somehow, he's using all the flaming gas he wants without paying a penny. If that's not thieving, what is?
Pray forgive the discourtesy. The irrelevance of this testimony caused me to turn to my hallowed chalice.
What do you mean by that remark, Lord Van Zeeks?
Did the mustachioed Nipponese poison the ganglion excuse for an actor, or didn't he? That is all that should concern this court, and yet now we must listen to this abhorrence. Clearly, what separates the vast British Empire and your Eastern Island nation is more than geographical distance. But this could turn out to be a crucial testimony. The cross-examination must go ahead. Oh, I hate how normal that's feeling. Do as you will.
Lord Van Zeeks appears to be in a violent mood.
Yes, he does. An attempted poisoning, and an incidence of gas theft with no supporting evidence. It's true that they would appear completely unrelated at first glance. But I wonder, the truth tends to be buried in the most unusual places. And the first step in uncovering it will be to establish just who and what this man really is. Well. I don't think we have time to do the whole song and dance of pressing and cross-examining and everything. So instead, let's talk. Well, look, Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, it has been bucking series tradition and convention left and right. Even still, I will say this. Now that Miss Altamont has been given a name and taken the stand, as far as I'm concerned, she's a suspect. And honestly, maybe a likely suspect even. I don't know why she would want to kill just one person who's skimping out on gas bills, but who knows? There's probably more to this rabbit hole that remains buried. And I also have a question suddenly. So they found a poison in the victim's body, right? Let's see. It was strychnine, wasn't it? Or what was it called? I think it was strychnine, or was that an earlier case? I forget. A point being, they've talked about this poison and talked about Sosuke poisoning him, but what exactly is the poison and where could Sosuke possibly have gotten it? Like, is it even possible for him to get it? It's like for all we know, it could be some super secret, top secret government poison. Or it could be some household agent that could be mixed together with, like, maybe one thing from the pharmacist. What is the poison? And how could Sosuke have gotten it? The sad thing is, I kind of doubt that this case is actually going to tackle that question. I feel like it might just be hand-waved away, but that does feel weird coming off of the previous case, which was completely revolving around the stealing of a secretive poison from a lab. Poison's on the mind. It really is. It's the weapon of choice in 2 sequential murders, or, well, crimes more like. And the second is having less comprehensive fleshing out than the previous. But hey, this case, it's young. It's young. We're probably less than halfway through this trial section, so you never know what could come to light, what could be talked about. So I'm still coming back to that soap. What the hell is with the soap? Left in the windowsill? Was that a spur of the moment thing, like an emergency action? Or is the soap supposed to be there? Is it really handed off in like a drug deal? Like, what's inside the soap? What is inside the soap? Can I even look at this and read it? Is there anything new? Oh? Wait a second. Wait just one goddamn second. Wasn't that hole supposed to be orange? What's going on? What is it, Mr. Naruhodo? This bar of soap. When we first found it, I could have sworn there was some sort of round disc in this depression just here, a reddish one. Yes, you're right. I remember it too. But now the depression is completely empty. Where could the disc have gone? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh wow. So we're dealing with a mystery vanishing substance. Suddenly this whole thing about, no vial or container to hold a poison being found in the room, and no trace of any liquid whatsoever being found in the teacup, suddenly gains much more importance in my mind. Ooh, wow. I feel like I just suddenly solved half of this case. Oh, what's going on? Oh, I have just been given a lot to think about it. And think about this I will. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Well, in the meantime, I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you next time. So until then, please take care.